Good evening. Welcome to Loveworld USA News. I'm TGK Andre. First, let's take a quick look at the top stories this evening. The Senate to reconvene as the federal shutdown nears historic length. President Trump does turnaround on Supreme Court hearing on tariffs. No immediate U.S. war with Venezuela. President Trump says Maduro's grip is weakening. A judge temporarily extends the block on the National Guard deployment in Portland. And the Pelosi office avoids retirement talk as speculation builds over post-election announcement. And now to the news. The U.S. Senate is set to return Monday at 3 p.m. as the federal government shutdown enters its 34th day, nearing a record length first reached during President Donald Trump's prior term. Lawmakers have yet to agree on a funding measure, leaving the government operating at a limited capacity while negotiations remain stalled between Republicans and Democrats. The Republican-backed short-term funding proposal would reopen government operations through November 21st, but Democrats have so far declined to move forward on the plan. The shutdown has slowed air travel across the country due to air traffic controller shortages and interrupted federal food assistance programs, which ran out of funding over the weekend. A federal judge has ordered the administration to issue full or partial SNAP payments this week, directing emergency funds to be used if necessary. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated Sunday that reopening the government remains the fastest and most effective method to restore benefits to the 42 million Americans enrolled in the program. President Donald Trump has insisted he will not accept what he describes as Democratic leverage tactics over spending demands, reiterating his commitment to securing long-term fiscal reforms and border security priorities before signing a funding bill. The shutdown is now the second longest on record and will match the prior 35-day benchmark if Congress fails to act by Tuesday. Watch this.
This morning, with just days to go until the government shutdown becomes the longest in history, President Trump encouraging Republicans to change Senate rules and allow Republicans to reopen the government with a simple majority without needing any votes from Democrats. It comes as 42 million Americans face losing critical food assistance. A federal judge now ordering the Trump administration to start making food stamp payments today or partial payments by Wednesday. However, it's not clear if the White House will comply. The Trump administration arguing it can't legally use emergency funds. The president on 60 Minutes last night pointing the finger at Democrats.
I mean, the Republicans are voting almost unanimously to end it, and the Democrats keep voting against ending it.
President Donald Trump said he will skip Wednesday's Supreme Court oral arguments on the legality of his sweeping tariffs, reversing an earlier suggestion that he would attend. In a Truth Social post, Trump said he didn't want to distract from the importance of a ruling he called one of the court's most consequential. The Justice Department is asking the justices to reinstate Trump's authority to levy reciprocal tariffs, he announced April 2nd, on imports from nearly every country. 10% from many nations, and up to 50% on goods from Brazil and India, after lower courts found he lacked legal authority. The case also tests the legality of separate fentanyl tariffs on some imports from China, Canada, and Mexico, imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Trump has warned that losing the case would leave the U.S. at a disadvantage in global trade, arguing that limiting presidential tariff powers would make the country defenseless. He previously said he might attend the arguments, an unusual step for a sitting president, before deciding against it. A decision will determine how far a president can go in using emergency and trade statutes to impose broad, unilateral tariffs, powers that affect prices, supply chains, and U.S. relations with major trading partners. Watch this.
So will you attend the oral arguments?
No, I don't think so, because I don't want to call a lot of attention to me. It's not about me, it's about our country. I'll be going to Miami. I'm going to make a speech in front of a large group of people in Miami and said, I wanted to go so badly. I just don't want to do anything to deflect the importance of that decision.
President Donald Trump said he does not believe the United States will enter a war with Venezuela, even as the U.S. maintains its largest military presence in the Caribbean in decades. In an interview at Mar-a-Lago, President Trump emphasized that while Venezuela has treated us very badly, he doubts a full-scale conflict is imminent. However, he suggests that socialist leader Nicolas Maduro's hold on power may soon come to an end as U.S. pressure continues. The administration has deployed warships, bombers, marines, and surveillance assets to the region, citing efforts to stop narcotics trafficking. President Trump dismissed claims that the operation is secretly aimed at regime change, saying it serves many things, including national security and stopping dangerous criminal networks like the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. He refused to rule out future action, noting he would not publicly disclose U.S. military plans regarding Venezuela. President Trump also reaffirmed strong deterrence policies abroad, saying the U.S. must test nuclear capabilities to stay ahead of adversaries such as Russia and China. His energy secretary clarified that any tests would not involve full nuclear detonations. Meanwhile, the president reiterated that Democrats are to blame for the prolonged government shutdown, calling their behavior crazed and insisting they'll ultimately fold. The interview marked President Trump's return to CBS after the network paid a settlement related to its 2024 election coverage, which he said was edited to benefit Democrats. With ongoing crises at the border and mounting pressure on hostile foreign regimes, President Trump projected confidence in America's military strength and resolve, and expressed certainty that Venezuela's socialist leadership is running out of time. Let's take a look.
President Trump aboard Air Force One on Friday denied reports that his administration has made a decision to attack military installations inside Venezuela.
There are reports that you are considering strikes within Venezuela. Is that true?
No.
That you made a decision on that?
No, it's not true.
It comes as the commander-in-chief this month threatened drug cartels that were going to stop them by land. It has the White House doubled the bounty on Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro to $50 million.
A federal judge has extended an order preventing President Donald Trump from deploying National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon, continuing a legal dispute over presidential authority and state sovereignty. The injunction, issued by U.S. District Judge Karen Emergut, will remain in effect through Friday as she prepares a final ruling following a recent 3-day trial. Judge Emergut wrote that evidence presented did not show widespread violence in Portland leading up to the federal order, concluding that prior unrest consisted of isolated incidents already addressed by local and federal law enforcement. She stated the situation did not meet the federal threshold for rebellion or invasion, which is required to federalize state National Guard forces under existing law. The Trump administration previously attempted to deploy National Guard units from Texas and California after an earlier order blocked Oregon's Guard from being used. Those attempts were also halted by the judge. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals briefly lifted the restriction, but reinstated it while the full court agreed to rehear the case. President Donald Trump has defended his authority to deploy the National Guard to restore law and order when states fail to act, a position consistent with his administration's stance on supporting law enforcement and responding to public safety threats. A full ruling is expected after the injunction expires Friday. Watch this.
At breaking news, a Trump-appointed judge just ruled against the president, pausing his deployment of the National Guard into Portland until at least Friday. This ruling comes after a 3-day trial on whether the deployment was lawful. Here's 3 things you need to know. 1, the judge said she needs more time to review arguments and documents from the trial in order to make a final decision. 2, she set a new deadline of Friday, November 7th at 5 p.m. 3, the judge's 16-page opinion highlighted several instances where she sided with the state of Oregon.
The news will be back after this break. Don't go anywhere.
In a world that's always moving, staying connected to the right resources makes all the difference. Welcome to the Loveworld App Store, the digital home of everything that powers your journey in the Loveworld nation. Here, discovery is simple and meaningful. With our categories section, you can explore a wide range of apps designed to enrich your spirit.
I'm praying especially for you. You that have been sick. You need a miracle.
On the Loveworld App Store, you can access all your favorite apps, such as Healing School app, King's Chat, PCDL, Rhapsody app, Love Tunes, SBs, Loveworld Worship, Herald app, Alpha TV, King's View, C-Flix, Hello Loveworld, PCDL for Kids, King's Conference, and so much more. Each application is created to serve a unique purpose and bring you closer to a life of impact. Explore My App feature, where your most valued tools are gathered in one convenient place. It's your personalized hub, ready whenever you are. The Loveworld App Store is more than a collection of apps. It's a vibrant ecosystem built to inspire faith, foster connection, and equip you for impact. Visit www.lwappstore.com to download the app on your device. Explore a world where purpose meets technology. Loveworld App Store. All your world in one place.
Welcome back. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office declined to confirm reports that she's preparing to retire from Congress after Tuesday's special election in California. NBC News had reported that Pelosi, who has served in Congress since 1987, is expected to make an announcement about her political future, with multiple unnamed sources predicting she will step down at the end of her current term. When asked for comment, Pelosi spokesperson Ian Krager did not address the retirement rumors, saying only that the Congresswoman is fully focused on her mission to win the Yes on 50 special election in California on Tuesday, a Democratic-backed initiative seeking to let the state legislature redraw congressional maps ahead of the 2026 midterms. At least 2 Democrats have already declared plans to run for Pelosi's seat in California's 11th congressional district, State Senator Scott Wiener and Saikat Chakrabarty, a former chief of staff to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Pelosi, 85 years old, remains one of the most influential figures in U.S. politics, having twice served as House Speaker and leading Democrats through major legislative battles fought over her nearly 4-decade career. The Federal Reserve's quarter-point rate cut last week passed 10-2, but Kansas City Fed President Jeffrey Schmidt voted to hold rates steady, arguing the economy still has momentum and inflation remains above target. In a statement expressing his dissent, Schmidt said the labor market is largely in balance. Consumption accelerated over the summer, and business investment, especially in software and IT, has surged despite higher borrowing costs. Those dynamics, plus reports of rising healthcare and insurance costs, suggest inflationary pressures are broadening rather than easing, he said. Schmidt characterized current policy as only modestly restrictive, noting buoyant equity and lending activity. With CPI at 3% in September and inflation above the Fed's 2% goal for more than 4 years, he argued policy should lean against demand growth to create space for supply to catch up. While acknowledging signs of labor market softening, Schmidt said a 25 BP cut would do little to address structural employment issues tied to technology and demographics, but could undermine confidence in the Fed's 2% commitment and risk stickier inflation. Balancing the dual mandate, he concluded, favored leaving rates unchanged. President Donald Trump said he does not know Binance co-founder Changpeng Zhao, despite issuing a pardon for him last month. Zhao, who pleaded guilty in 2023 to enabling money laundering, served 4 months in prison before stepping down from his role at the cryptocurrency exchange. President Donald Trump made the comments during a CBS 60 Minutes interview, adding he was told Zhao had been previously targeted unfairly by the former administration. The pardon lifts restrictions that had prevented Zhao from operating financial businesses, though it remains unclear how the move affects his regulatory exposure or standing with U.S. agencies. Zhao had been linked to digital currency partnerships involving companies connected to President Donald Trump's circle, including Dominari Holdings, where his son sits on the advisory board. White House officials defended the pardon, arguing Zhao's prosecution under former President Joe Biden was part of what they described as an aggressive overreach against the crypto sector. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt previously said the Biden administration pursued a war on cryptocurrency and said the case has been reviewed before action was taken. President Donald Trump has emphasized U.S. leadership in the digital asset space, warning that China and other foreign competitors can gain an advantage if American innovation is hindered. The administration has also previously halted other crypto-related prosecutions, including a case involving entrepreneur Justin Sun after his investments in the Trump family's firm World Liberty Financial. Watch this.
2025, his crypto exchange Binance helped facilitate a $2 billion purchase of World Liberty Financial's stablecoin. And then you pardoned CZ. How do you address the appearance of pay for play?
Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about it because I'm too busy doing the other.
But he got a pardon. But he got a pardon.
No, I can only tell you this. My sons are into it. I'm glad they are because it's probably a great industry, crypto. I think it's good. You know, they're running a business. They're not in government.
The news continues after this break. Stay with us.
It's easy to set up, quick to start, and packed with value. Smarter streaming starts here. with the Alpha TV Stick. Just plug and stream anytime, anywhere. Discover a curated lineup of content designed to inspire, live broadcasts and global events, inspirational films and series, children's programming, healing and teaching sessions, all on demand. With millions of downloads worldwide, the Alpha TV app is transforming lives across the globe. And now, we're on a mission to reach 1 billion downloads of the Alpha TV app, and you can be part of it. Join the global wave with 1 billion Alpha TV app downloads worldwide. Bring the higher life into every home. Order your Alpha TV Stick today and experience smarter streaming. Alpha, the higher life is here.
Welcome back. A magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck near Mazar-e-Sharif, killing at least 20 people and injuring more than 530, Afghan authorities said, warning the toll could climb as search and rescue operations continue. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake originated at a depth of about 28 kilometers or 17 miles and issued an orange alert, signaling the potential for significant casualties. Residents in Mazar-e-Sharif, a city of roughly 500,000 people, rushed into the streets as buildings shook and aftershocks were felt. Power outages were reportedly nationwide after electricity lines from Uzbekistan to Tajikistan, key supplies to Afghanistan, were damaged. Authorities in the nearby Samangan province also reported fatalities, though full figures remain unclear amid disrupted communications. The quake follows a series of damaging tremblers in Afghanistan's mountainous regions, where mud and timber homes are especially vulnerable. Emergency teams say poor infrastructure and patchy communications are hampering response efforts. Afghanistan sits atop the collision zone between the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates, making it highly prone to earthquakes. Authorities urge residents to avoid damaged structures and to follow guidance as assessments and aid deliveries continue. Watch this.
The toll is expected to rise after a powerful earthquake in northern Afghanistan.
The United States Geological Survey says it was a 6.3 magnitude quake that rattled one of the most populated cities in the north of the country. A massive search and rescue operation now underway. Afghanistan health officials say at least 20 people are dead and more than 300 are injured.
Philippine authorities ordered more than 70,000 residents in eastern Samar and surrounding coastal areas to evacuate Monday as Typhoon Kamaigi approached from the Pacific with sustained winds near 74 miles per hour and gusts up to 93 miles an hour. Officials also restricted fishermen from going to sea and warned of storm surges up to 10 feet as the storm neared Guian in eastern Samar province. The typhoon, locally called Tino, is expected to strengthen before making landfall and continue westward into central island provinces, including Cebu, which is still recovering from a major earthquake in late September that killed at least 79 people and displaced thousands. Evacuation operations include assistance from police, military, firefighters, and disaster response teams. Local officials referenced the catastrophic 2013 Typhoon Haiyan as a reason residents complied quickly with evacuation orders, noting prior experiences with widespread destruction and casualties. Authorities reported ongoing evacuations in nearby provinces and heightened readiness among Coast Guard and emergency agencies as the storm advances. The Philippines experiences an average of 20 storms annually and remains one of the world's most disaster-prone regions due to frequent tropical systems, earthquakes, and volcanic activity. No U.S. emergency assistance announcements have been made at this stage, though President Donald Trump's administration has historically emphasized targeted foreign aid and prioritized domestic resource allocation during international crises. Let's take a look.
Are feeling the effects of a violent storm as Typhoon Tino moves closer to land. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 3 is up over Surigao del Norte. The local government of Surigao City has implemented forced evacuations in areas prone to landslides and floods.
Baka umano yung bahay yun, bumigay. Kasi magawa lang po sa kanang yung kahoy lang. Oo. Tapos natatakot ako kasi yung mga bata, dalawa.
Police and local officials went door to door to evacuate residents living near coastal areas amid the threat of possible storm surge.
Nako, bagyo ngayon, sir. Opo, talaga matakot tayo. Opo, pero salamat sa Diyos. May mga pa rin tayo na LGU, mag-concern sa atin. Kaya go lang tayo.
Natatakot rin kasi signal number 3 na rin ata. Kaya ilikas na kami.
Residents and local officials in Surigao City are determined to avoid a repeat of the devastation and loss of lives caused by typhoon.
Just before we end the news, let's take a quick look at tomorrow's weather forecast. And to end the news today, here's a quick recap of the headlines. The Senate to reconvene as the federal shutdown nears historic length. President Trump does turnaround on Supreme Court hearing on tariffs. No immediate U.S. war with Venezuela. President Trump says Maduro's grip is weakening. A judge temporarily extends the block on the National Guard deployment in Portland. And the Pelosi office avoids retirement talk as speculation builds over post-election announcement. And that's the news for today. Join us at the same time tomorrow for more news. I'm TGK Andre. Good night, and God bless you.